G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Trewin. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Heather Gibson from Big Heart Breeders based near Salt Lake City in the United States. Thanks for your time today, Heather.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's start with how we know each other. Diane from Inspire One Media reached out a few months ago. Thought you'd be a great guest for us.
Yeah, she likes to help connect me with places that I might be able to support the audience and really grow and connect myself.
We'll tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Sure. So I breed mini golden retrievers, and I also have a couple other side things with that where I support owners with pet nutrition as well as support other breeders with education. And we make money by selling puppies, selling pet products, and selling education.
Oh, nice. And so the nutrition, so dog food?
Yep. Dog food, dog supplement, health products.
Yeah, great. And just to the puppies you've bred or just any dogs?
Yeah, to any dogs. So I'm a certified pet nutrition coach. So I work with a lot of families that are kind of dealing with issues, but also just people that are proactive with their pets' care. So mostly cats and dogs, though.
Yeah, great. That's a massive growing industry, as you well know. People are owning pets and looking after them a lot more these days.
Yes, absolutely.
And how did you start out?
I started out by just loving pets, I guess. So I had a couple cats and my daughters. So I guess originally we were foster parents in the foster care system with children, and we were helping out children into our home, and we realized the power of pets. So we started with just our own pets. We had two cats that were kind of a rare breed, and our kids wanted another one. And so we started to look. They didn't offer them in our area. And so when we found a breeder that had them, because it was our third of the same breed, she suggested maybe looking at doing a litter, that they needed more good ethical breeders. And that's how we got started.
Oh, fantastic. And what year did you start out?
Let's see, my daughter is now 20 years old and she was probably 5, so 15 years ago.
Yep. So 2011.
Yeah.
And how old were you then when you decided to start your own business?
When I decided, I've always been entrepreneurial. So I've tried a few different things over the years, but at that point I was, let's see, 16 years ago, I would have been 30 years old.
Yep. Right. So it was 2010 or 2011?
2011.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business over those 15 years?
Yeah, sure. So I started out super small at first, and I probably made maybe $5,000 or $6,000 a year when I first was starting. It was really more of a hobby. And last year we closed out at 550,000 for the year.
Wow, fantastic. And what about number of full-time equivalent team members you started with and where you're at now?
Oh, I was a solopreneur for a
Yep.
lot of years, and then we grew quite a bit. And I guess the 550,000 was really in puppy cells last year, puppy and kitten cells. I made another 120,000 from pet product cells
Yep.
last year. And then from the education, probably another 15,000.
Right. Okay. And team members you have now?
We have 10, equivalent of 10 full-time team members.
Yep. And that education piece, how do you deliver that? Is that like in person or online things?
Both. So we
Right.
do online summits and then we
Mm.
do live retreats.
Oh, great. Yep. And when was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
For me, it's not really about the number, it's about the value that I'm providing someone else. So one moment in particular, I remember I was working with a college age student that was having a really hard time adjusting to college life. And we were doing a follow up call after I placed a kitten with her. And just hearing how big of a difference it had made in her life, the change she was seeing, how she was being more social and more outgoing and feeling more comfortable being away from home. I think that was the moment for me that I was really excited about what I was able to do for other people.
And what does success look like to you?
For me, success means that I can do what I love in a way that's done ethically and that I'm really supporting other families that are coming to me for puppies. My business has kind of evolved and now I specialize in puppies, specifically mini golden retrievers.
Yep.
I don't breed cats anymore, but I feel like when I'm able to really do that well and have happy families, that's what success looks like to me.
Yep. Right. Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast growing business?
I have really done well with Google and paid Google ads. So we do a lot of paid Google marketing as well as working really hard on our SEO rankings so that we show up in front of the people that want what we have.
And so you find there's quite a demand for people looking for mini golden retrievers?
It's growing. It's kind of an unknown breed. And
Yep.
so a lot of my work is just getting the word out that it's actually a thing. And so for fast growing, it's Google marketing, I feel like. And then the longer term play is working on SEO. And then, of course, social media is a big thing these days, too.
Yep. Great. And how did you fund your business?
We started so small, we just funded it ourselves. We did take out some seed money about a year ago so that we could build a facility that was larger and allowed us to do more with training. And that was just a business loan we took out.
Yep. Okay, great. So no other investors, just bank debt.
It was just the bank.
Yep. Yeah, great. If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
Oh, that's a good question because number one, it's a controversial industry. I feel like breeding gets a lot of different ideas and communication with it. And it's a very intense business, meaning that when you have puppies on the ground, it's a very intense, time consuming business. But I do love it. So I think even after everything I've seen, I would still go into it.
So you're getting rid of flack from because you breed dogs rather than people getting rescue dogs more so.
Yes. So this will be complete news to some of your listeners. They have never been involved in the fight between rescue, shelter adoptions, and breeders. There's also a huge divide between purebred breeders and mixed breeders.
Yep.
I started out as a purebred breeder, and for health reasons, I ended up moving to a mixed breeder. I've gotten a ton of feedback on that, both ways, I guess, but you kind of remember the negative the most. And I've also seen the definite divide between rescue and breeders, even though I've done rescue work, and I feel like there's a place for both.
Yep. Right. Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
I think the hardest part with running any small business is when you get to the point where you can't do everything. There's a point where you realize that being the solopreneur is stunting your growth and you're getting in your own way. And having to go through the process of letting someone else come in and hire and starting to build a team so that you can handle everything can be difficult for some of us that are a little bit intense about how we do things or have a very strong standard on what we want done. And I think until a business owner allows that to happen, that you allow team members to come in, you really will never be able to do the job as well as you could without those people. But it's a hard moment, trusting people to come in and do it the way you want it done and getting the right team on board.
Yeah, I think it's hard for us as small business owners. We are a bit of control freaks and perfectionists and very difficult to delegate. Yeah, it's something most of us have to work on early on.
Yeah, absolutely.
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Again, I think it's been hiring the key people. If you don't get the right people in the right spots, it really makes it so things don't flow well. So when you're talking about different hires, making sure that you've got the person that has the best skill set in the right role. And I think my hardest thing is not firing soon enough. I tend to give people a ton of chances, even when I know it's not working. I've had a hard time having those conversations that are uncomfortable.
Yep.
And as a business owner and to become a better business owner, I've really had to lean into that and get better at having uncomfortable conversations.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
The thing I like least about managing fast growth is it feels a little bit discombobulating. You have lots of things going on. You usually are working 12 to 14-hour days when you're at a period where you don't have the right infrastructure to handle what you're doing quite yet. And that period of time where you're growing faster than you were kind of ready for is very uncomfortable, but it's when you get to the other end of it, it's great.
And what do you love most about growing a small business?
What I love most is it's really a piece of me. Like I get to share what I love and how I do things, and it gets to impact other people. And seeing the puppies go into homes and with the curriculum that we do with them, with the foundational work that we do with them, and the way it changes their family or their household, whether it's a single person all the way up to a retired family or a family with kids, it really makes a difference. And to me, that's the most satisfying thing is having happy customers and knowing that their lives are different because of what I did.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Want specific advice to help you get your business through its number one growth challenge? Book a free 20-minute growth chat with me, Troy, the founder of Grow a Small Business. I'll recommend some resources which will help you grow your business with ease so you can live the lifestyle you've signed up for. Go to growasmallbusiness.com and click on Growth Chat.
Like we already talked about, it's really been letting go and realizing that my hires don't have to do it as well as I do it. If they can do it even 80% as well as I do it, then that's a good hire. And so letting go of the control and letting people do it their way and celebrating it because a lot of times it ends up being better or different than what I would do, but it still works out great in the end. So celebrating that and realizing it doesn't always have to be done my way.
The number one habit you think a small business needs to develop and maintain?
Definitely, without a doubt, you always have to keep learning. You need to be investing in your own education, investing in what you want to be and how to get there because things are changing so fast in our market today, whether it's how you're finding your audience, how you're getting payment structures from them, how you're doing follow up. Social media is changing all the time. AI is now in the picture. If you can't stay up to date to that, as well as working on your mindset, you're going to get left behind.
Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
So I would say, as I mentioned earlier, some of my biggest mistakes have been not firing soon enough. So sometimes you see the writing on the wall super early with a team member, and you think, well, if I talk to him about this, if we change that, if we try this. And what I've learned early on is to start with a trial period for people. So when I hire someone, we do a trial working interview first. And then if that works out, we still give a conditional period of 3 months where during that period we're touching bases a lot, making sure that we're a good fit for each other because it has to be not just a good fit for me, but for them to be a really good employee. And then if we're not, I'm getting much better at having direct, honest conversations about what I like and what I don't like. I do think the other thing that's really changed things for me is having interviews with them and having specific outcomes that we're looking for. So if there's an issue going on that is driving me crazy, and I put it on our list of our top 3 things that our company is working on, when the staff come in and they do an interview, we go over those 3 things. They rate themselves. How are you doing on these 3 things? And then I talk about how I would rate them on those 3 things. And it really brings a better focus. I feel like it helps my team members win because they actually can see what winning looks like.
Yep, really good advice. What are some of the things you recommend to building a sustainable kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
I think to have a good culture, it has to be somewhat fun. So nobody loves coming to work if it's you have a negative atmosphere or you're not having some fun. So we'll do some really fun things. We'll have staff meetings where we have themed dessert or themed snacks, I guess you would say. And a couple other things that we do is we'll have costume contests with our dogs. So I'm in the dog business. So it actually kind of works as a twofer because we film it, it becomes social media content. Our staff love it. We give out little prizes, and it's just kind of really helps with the culture all the way around. And then showing up and letting them see that I do care about them all the way around, not just how they're doing at work, but kind of their overall life and what their goals are and how to get there. I feel like those are the things that really make a difference in the culture.
Oh, who wouldn't love coming to work with golden retrievers?
It sounds fun until you have to clean up as much poop as they do.
And tell our audience how you've handled balance.
I've struggled with work-life balance, I'm not gonna lie. I tend to go a little bit overkill on the work, but what I've learned lately is if we're not in a high growth period, that at 6 p.m., I walk away from stuff and I go
Hmm.
spend time with my family. So I have a cut-off time, and at that time and until I go to bed from 6 p.m. on, I'm not allowed to work on work stuff. It's just to kind of pour into my family, pour into myself, and reset. And I'll tell you, I found that I do a lot better. Like I'm more creative, I have more energy. I do better when I have those boundaries set so that I can really have that downtime and be ready for the next day.
Yep. How much professional development have you invested in yourself?
I've actually done a lot of professional development. This year I probably invested 60,000 in professional development. And I do go through periods where I'll invest more in a year and then I'll pull back and implement for a year and do more free stuff like listening to podcasts like yours or other things where I'm around like-minded business builders. I feel like we can learn so much from each other. And when you get the right coach and you're investing in the right way, it really is a shortcut to the higher payout, the better lifestyle, the more enjoyment in what you're doing. And so I do heavily invest in professional development.
Hmm. So you've had coaches. Have you had mentors along the way?
Yeah, both. I think in order to succeed in a business, you will do much better if you've had someone that's walked the path and knows
Yeah.
what to do and how to do it. So, yes,
Do you have a board of directors or advisors?
I do not. We are about to start a nonprofit. And so obviously I'll have to have a board of directors for that. But currently I am the top of the food chain, I guess,
Hmm.
in my business.
All right, Heather, on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
I think the hardest thing to grow a small business is realizing that it takes consistent work to see the difference over time. And there are some people that are able to make those gigantic leaps with business, and I applaud them. And I think when you look back, a lot of times it can look like a giant leap in a business, but a lot of times it's because you put in consistent work for a large amount of time to get the right mindset, and then you got in the right situation to have that explosive growth. So I think it's just sticking with it and having the grit to get through it.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
By far, my favorite business book that I've read probably in the last 3 years is Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and
Mhm.
Benjamin Hardy.
Yep.
That really created a mind shift for me. I've already shared that I struggled with hiring and knowing how to hire. And when I read Who Not How, it really solidified for me the fact that people don't do it on their own. These great business owners, these great people, it's really who you have under you that's working and supporting you in the right roles that makes the biggest difference.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools used for your own professional development?
So I just recently found yours. So Grow a Small Business is now on my podcast list, which I love.
Thank you.
I'm a huge fan of a lot of different learning styles and podcasts. And so I kind of am all over the place with different mental toughness, how to create the right mindset, as well as just practical advice on the how to stuff. It's kind of a smattering of everything.
I did a great podcast about 5 years ago with a lady just in Canberra here, the capital city in Australia. She's got 2 or 3 sites for dog daycare. I'll send that through to you. That was a great one.
Yeah, I'd love that.
And a really good example of like she was incapacitated for 6 months with a really bad health problem. She had to just pretty much lie in a room for 6 months in the dark. Was getting migraines, and her team stepped up, and the business kept growing while she was out of action for 6 months. It really shows, that whole delegation point, and as well as setting up systems.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
I think in today's world, I can't say anything is as fast developing and as powerful as AI. So I use several different AI platforms in my business. I love Claude for doing copywriting. Gemini is my favorite for image production. And then I use a fair amount of ChatGPT too. And I feel like AI in general is just completely changing the landscape of being a business owner because now I can pay Claude. I think my subscription is maybe $50 a month. And the copywriting that comes out of Claude is phenomenal. Even its ability to analyze your business is really eye opening and mind boggling. I was with a mentor the other day, and he shared that he had a $10,000 consulting gig, and it was in an industry he didn't know much about. It was in the construction industry. That was not his main area of interest. But what he did is he went to the consulting event and he would record everything. So he had Otter AI, which is a platform that records and transcribes. And then he would drop it into Claude once an hour. He would go in and he would drop in the transcript. And Claude was actually the one that did the whole consulting for him. To
Wow.
yeah, to the point where it even told him what to tell the business owners in order to get them on his side,
Yep.
because I guess they were having a hard time warming up to him. And so the power of AI now, I think we're just barely starting to realize it. And for some, it's kind of terrifying to bring on AI and look at the implications of it. But at the same time, there's so much good that can come from it that if we're not harnessing it and learning about it, that we will be kind of outpaced by the people that are.
Yep. Finally, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out 15 years ago?
I never ever imagined I would get this big or that it would become a profession like it has. So if I was just starting out a business, I would probably say, buckle in, get ready. It's going to be a completely wild ride, and you'll have your tough days, your amazing days, and it will be somewhat cyclical. And so on your worst days, remember there are better days ahead. And on your best days, remember to save a little bit of money for those worst days.
Great advice. Thanks so much for your time today, Heather. Really enjoyed our chat. Your daughters wanted a pet, so you started with a dog. Now you provide pet services, nutrition, and education services, and specialize in breeding mini golden retrievers. Started in 2011 on your own, now with a team of 10, doing almost 700,000 US dollars a year. Congratulations to you and the team on the growth.
Well, thank you. We're set to have an even bigger year. I'm really excited for what we're going to see this year and going forward.